G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So it's been an absolute eternity since I've done a fantasy video on this channel. I think the last time I did one was an early team reveal back in like 2021. So yeah, it's been an absolute while since I have done one, and with considering it, I do want to try and do more fantasy and supercoach videos, because if you don't know, I am a big fantasy and supercoach player. The last 2 seasons I've finished in the top 5,000 for fantasy, so I'd say I'm not a bad fantasy player. I do like to perform well, and obviously wanting to improve my rank heading into next year. And yeah, I thought I'd just upload a nice short and sweet video of revealing my team. Now, as we always do know, when picking teams, there's going to be a lot of changes from now until round 1. Just every day swapping and changing positions, but this is my early crack, my early review of my team. I recorded a 35-minute video of actually selecting my team live, but after second thoughts, I thought it'd be better just to upload a more different type of video, a more shorter and sweeter video for you fellas to watch as I do reveal my team. Now, we always know with fantasy, it's so different each year. I think there's a lot of rookies to go with, of course, a lot of more obvious ones. But we always want to try and pick out those nice mid-prices and undervalue primos that really can build up your team value quickly. So let's get into the team reveal, shall we? Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. That'd be heavily appreciated. And let's go. So for my D1, I'm going with 𝐓𝐡𝐞. Just an absolute general back there for the Hawks. It's a pricey one to go for your D1, but he's just a quality player. Just racks up the footy. He's the nucleus on how they move the football. Gets a lot of marks, and a great player to watch too, especially if you do own him, which was the case last year because he had some massive scores. So I'm going with 𝐚𝐶𝐶 for my D1. I did consider for my D1 also 𝐷𝐼𝐶𝐞 𝐿𝐷, but I feel like I'd love to go with him because I feel like he could average over 100 again this year for the Giants, but it's just the injury tag that does worry me. That's probably the biggest thing for 𝐷𝐼𝐶𝐞, but I think he could really go back up to over 100 because he was huge on how they moved the footy of the Giants. And if the Giants are more consistent, I think he's the guy to score well. But yeah, 𝐚𝐶𝐶 for D1, I don't think you can go wrong past him. So now moving on to the D2, I am going with a very talented player from the Fremantle Dockers of Hayden Young. His last 5 games were very good for the Dockers. He moved into that new midfield role, and I think he averaged like around 100 plus points around that mark. So if he's playing that midfield sort of accountable tagging role from round 1 onwards next year, I think you've got to be considering him. He is to hopefully more of a consistent scoring year for Hayden Young, because we've always considered him, but I think next year if he's able to play that midfield role, you've got to go with him. My third player I do love watching. He's a quality player, 𝐼𝐶𝐞 𝐿𝐷. Again, there's always a risk with him because I've been unable to show consistency for a whole year of scoring well, and he's had injury problems. But I just look at this player. He's had such a good final series. That will give him confidence. That will give him more of that onus in it and influence to really control the back line for the Lions more heading into next year. Daniel Rich has retired as well, so it'll give him more of that freedom. I think he's one you've got to consider, especially at that price of 628k. For my D4, I'm going with a player. I traded him in last year at a very good time. He was great for me last year. Where is he? Sorry. Spelled his name wrong. There we go. Marcus Winhager as a defender. He's put on a bit of size. He's looking like one of the players that could really explode next year. There's been a lot of good things about Winhager, but the thing is he's been able to be a good proven scorer, especially last year. He played defence quite a bit and he got like back-to-back tons, I'm pretty sure, whilst I did own him, so he was great. Even as that midfield role, I think he's just got that untapped potential to be a player that can start to rack up points. So does he play defence a bit more? Does he move into the midfield? In terms of an early selection, I think he's one you've got to consider at 570k. For my D5, 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐎𝐥𝐝. He's come across from the Saints. Really good young play. He's had his injury woes, of course, but the Doggies do have some defensive problems, and I think 𝐎𝐿𝐴 at 358k, you know, if he's able to show his intercepting prowess, you'd think he could score quite decent and get a bit of cash going for a player like 𝐎𝐿𝐴. So yeah, because of that, I'm picking him. And for my D6, pretty vanilla selection here, just going to be going with Daniel Curtin. Should be a good chance to debut in round 1, you'd think. Sort of reminds me of a bit of a better boy, a bit of a Max Michelani type, but could rack up points because he was very good in the under-18s championships in terms of actual fantasy points. So yeah, he could be a nice rookie to start with. So I think he's definitely worth starting on your on field instead of your bench. And then the 2 rookies I'm going with, just for now, Toby Pink. Came across from the Sample, former Swan. You'd think he's starting as a best 22, given that Griffin Logue's out the ACL, so he could be paired up with 𝐼𝐴𝐷𝐸 𝐸, or maybe they throw back Charlie Comben. He's one player that I've been hearing about. And then I'm going with Sam Closey. He's come across from Werribee, and you feel like he's a good chance to debut for the Suns across their half-back line. Could compete well with like Connor Buderick and etc. for a half-back spot from round 1 onwards. So yeah, Sam Closey. Midfield now, the exciting selections. Who am I going with for my D1? If you have been a regular watcher on the channel, I've been hyping this man up plenty of times. It is none other than Tom Green, the boy from Canberra. Look, he's priced at 110, so he's not really a player to choose as that underpriced primo. But in terms of a player that could explode, I think you've got to go with the player like Tom Green. Yes, I think he's always had that inconsistency here and there throughout his whole career, but I think next year could be the year where he just has a fully solid year of football. Just what he was able to show in the final series was remarkable. He's a tough player, strong player, racks up the points. He's also a goal kicker as well. Yeah, he's a great player to watch too, so I feel like him under a mil, definitely, I think is a good chance to be a good player as an M1. For now, I say for now for all these plays because I'm going to be chopping and changing quite a bit. For my M2, I don't know, I have my doubts about 𝐴𝐸, but for now I'll put him in. Why I have my doubts about him is because I just look at Noah Anderson, I look at Sam Flanders. These are players that I think as the years progress, they'll continue to get more influence and more, opportunity to get a lot more points off a player like 𝐴𝐸. But Miller's an absolute professional. I think he reflects on last year as a disappointing year. You feel like he'll have a big pre-season and get back up to averaging over, hopefully, 105. Like, he's priced at 96. Like, surely he averages at least over 100. So because of that, going with him. And he has the Crows, who, for the first round, he's a bit of a hard team to score against, but, he likes to get in and under. For my M3, I'm going with Sam Walsh. He's averaging 94, or priced at 95. But, this guy was pretty much playing injured last year. He's been like that the past 2 years. He's a very good fantasy player with how he plays. And I think with the full pre-season, he should be able to get back up to the top and score consistently again. So, yeah, I think he's a good price at 854k. For my M4, I am going with a speculative midfielder here. There's a few players racing around my mind around this price, but for now I'm going with John Newcomb. Player I really love watching. Again, with the player he is, I don't know still if he's able to be that sort of uber primo type, but I think he's one that could definitely average over 100. He had some great games last year. Again, Will Day could take some points off him, same with 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, but this is a player that I think he's sort of under the radar. I still feel like people don't really give this guy much hype, even though I feel like he deserves it a little bit more. So I'm going with Newcomb for M4 for now. For my M5, I'm going with another Carlton player of George Hewitt. He's averaging priced at 74. I mean, we all know from past experience he's been a player that averages over 80, 85, even 90. So if he's able to keep his body right, he should be a nice mid-price option to hopefully go up to 800k and then maybe trade up to a better target. And yeah, for my M6, well, he's right here, George Wardlaw. I'm going with. For me, it's either him or Ginbey for this spot. I think you're picking one of the two. These are two players that could score really well next year. I'm picking Wardlaw though. Well, both players had a few injury problems. I think Wardlaw was a bit more of the hamstring, but Ginbey was a bit more just because of hitting the wall, because he was a first-year player. He out-exhausted his body. But I don't know, I just think Wardlaw, just the way he attacks the footy from what I watched last year, and he just his repeated efforts was really great to watch. And that's the same with Ginbey, but I don't know, I just prefer Wardlaw a little bit more. I think he could score a bit more than Ginbey. But Ginbey's like 30k less, so he's one to consider too. So that's another nice mid-pricer. And then, yeah, the two rookies I'm fielding at the moment with how my team is set up. That is 𝐼𝐴𝐷𝐸. These are just the obvious ones. And then Riley Sanders. Sanders finished second in the doggies, best and fairest, so definitely one you've got to consider. Yeah. And then, yeah, 𝐼𝐴𝐷𝐸, I think he's one of the favourites for the Rising Star, apart from Harley Reid. And then, yeah, for my midfield, bench players. First one I've got is Darcy Wilson. I saw that Ross Lyon was big on Wilson to play a lot of footy next year, so yeah, I think he's definitely one you've got to start on your bench. And then for my next bench option, I'm going with Clay Hall from the Eagles. This is a club that really rates this player, and I'd almost say he's a lock. I think he could really start round one. And yeah, he's just that big-bodied inside midfielder type. He's a tall midfielder. I think he could rack up some points early on for the Eagles next year. So there is my midfield as we now move on to the rucks. Just going obvious for now, going with the old Gordon Grundy. I still want to probably go with English or Marshall because it really did hurt me last year not going with Tim English, but he is very expensive, so you've got to consider that too. But sometimes with a player like English, you've just got to say stuff it. He's just a quality player. He'll get your points. And then of course Grundy too. These are two players that score well as solo rucks, especially for Grundy now across to a team that are in desperate need of a ruck of the Swans. I think he should score well. Good options for Supercoach too. And then yeah, Gawn is still able to produce a lot of magic as that solo ruck. So expect him to score well hopefully next year. And yeah, just for my rookie option for my ruck, I'm just going to go with 𝐓𝐡𝐞 Heard some good things about this guy. Picked up of course by North Melbourne. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll start, but he's just a placeholder really for now as my ruck bench option. Forward line now. It's pretty straightforward with these selections because there's not really much variety, but this is what I'm rocking with. Jack Macrae is my F1. It does help though with Bailey Smith going down. A terrible thing, of course, don't get me wrong, with him going down, but surely Macrae can find some consistency next year. He was underwhelming even when he was playing in the position where he's good at, so hopefully he can score well. F2, I'm going with Sam Flanders. Again, I sort of go back, fall back onto the 𝐚𝐞 𝐎𝐿 selection. I feel like Flanders is one of those players that could start to take a bit more points off 𝐚𝐞, but just because of 𝐚𝐞's price and what he's priced at, I think you've got to go with him. But yeah, Flanders, really impressive the second half of 2023. Hopefully he builds off that. For my F3, I'm going with Taylor Adams. Yeah, I mean, priced at 76, and the Swans are just in desperate need of that inside midfielder that's able to extract it, able to rack up the football, and just really dig in there and get first possession. I think Adams will be a great fit for that for the Swans, and also Callum Mills is out for the first few weeks. So I think Adams, if you can start the season well, build up a bit of cash, you can then upgrade with that selection there. But yeah, going to go with Adams. And then yeah, for my F4, I'm going with Elijah Sardis. A lot of Dons fans are hyping this guy up to really go to the next level. I really like Ben Hobbs' year too. So in terms of impact, I think Hobbs could really impress as well. But yeah, Sardis priced at 64. He's a forward player too, so that definitely helps with structure. Definitely one you've really got to consider. Hopefully he can rack up some more points for next year for the Bombers. For my F5, I'm going with another Swan recruit, James Jordan. If he's able to be a best 22 and start on the wing, which I think he's a very good chance to, because this is a player where I think it suits Sydney well. This is just the type of player that goes hard for the footy, a player that Longmire really likes. I think he's priced at 50. Like, surely he could... You'd think he'd average, if he's consistent, maybe 70. So right there, it's a good selection right off the bat, you do think. So James Jordan as my F5. And then, of course, you've got to go the need for speed, Harley Reid for my F6. Keen to see how he goes for the Eagles next year. And then, yeah, the forward bench options. First one, Sean Manor for the Cats. He was picked up by... yeah, really good year at Werribee, and yeah, just a mature age forward. I think you can't go wrong with an absolute lock for my team. And then yeah, another talented player from the draft of Zane Dersma, North Melbourne forward. I wonder if North will do the experiment like they did with Sheasel and start him in defence. Could definitely help for fantasy. That would be very nice. Thank you very much. We wouldn't mind another cheeky option that started off as a rookie and turned into a primo in a matter of weeks, like Sheasel was able to last year. And then yeah, for my utility option to round out the team, I'm going with 𝐵𝐵 𝐴𝐵𝐵. I still don't know how you pronounce it. It's one or the other. But yeah, I heard this guy was trading in defence for the Eagles, and he is starting as a defender, even though I'm pretty sure last year he was a mid-forward. So that's interesting. But yeah, I think he's just one you got to start with for now, and that completes the team, everyone. So we'll go over it again. 45k left in the bank, and as I say, there's going to be a lot of changes from now until round 1. But this is my initial team: Sicily, Hayden Young, Kitty Coleman, Windhager, Caulfield, Curtin, Pink, Closey. And then for the midfielders, Tom Green, Tuke Miller, Walsh, Newcomb, Hewitt, Wardlaw, McKercher, Sanders, Wilson and Clay Hall. Gawn and Grundy is my rucks, and then McRae, Flanders, Adams, Sardis, James Jordan, Harley Reid, Sean Munner, Dersma and Burgill as my utility. So there's the team, everyone. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy, and also comment down below and let me know what you do think of my team. And also feel free to let me know if you've built your team already. Comment down your team below too, and if you've got a few players that you're really keen on, also love to hear your fellas' opinions on those particular players. But yeah, that'll do it for this video, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time, we'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.